our period comes on, and fertility is hard to track. Can y'all not yell? Y'all was all in the background of my video. Peace family, peace mommies. Today I'm talking to you guys today, and all my women. You don't have to necessarily be a mommy, but today I want to talk to you guys and kind of give you like an update on my menstrual cycle postpartum. And no, I'm not just, telling y'all about my menstrual cycle. I'm talking about the important things that all of us women need to know about menstrual cycles, and the process of returning after we have a baby. Typically, your period, I'm just going to say period instead of menstrual cycle because it's easier for me to say. And that's what I normally call it. So typically, your period returns about 6 to 8 weeks after you give your baby or you have your baby. Could be more, shouldn't be less, but that's typically when your period returns unless you are breastfeeding. Okay, if you are breastfeeding, it's going to delay the return. If you are exclusively breastfeeding, it's going to delay your return for months, okay? Sometimes up to a year. If you haven't had a chance to check out my first video when I talked to you guys about my period returning for the first time after a year, check it out because I'll put the link in the description box below, okay? Now, depending on how long you do breastfeed, you could go the entire time without having a period at all. And you can go to at least 6, 7, 8 months, somewhere in there, when you're exclusively breastfeeding and not have a period at all. And real quick, ladies, if you don't know, when you do have your first period after giving birth and you're not breastfeeding, so it's gonna come, within 2 to 3 months after you give birth, don't use a tampon. Use a pad. And if you're gonna use a pad, I recommend that you get a pad that doesn't have a lot of toxic and harmful ingredients, okay? That was just a real quick side note. Now, back to not having a period if you're exclusively breastfeeding. The reason is because when you are breastfeeding, your body produces a hormone. That hormone is called prolactin, okay? And prolactin is needed to produce breast milk. It also suppresses reproductive hormones in the process. So you don't ovulate, and that means that no eggs drop or release so they can be fertilized. And when this doesn't happen, no menstrual cycle will occur. Real quick, let me just tell y'all about my experience. So I went a whole year without a menstrual cycle, and I was exclusively breastfeeding. Towards the end of that year, I was beginning to introduce foods to my baby, but my baby was not really interested. I'll also put links in the description box of videos of me trying to introduce stage 1 baby foods and making baby food, so you guys can see how well that went out. But pretty much I was exclusively breastfeeding my baby for that whole year. Not too long after I hit that 1 year mark, I was bragging one day, and then the next day my period came on. I was bragging about I ain't had no period in a year, because I was not really bragging, but I was just really like happy. I was really happy about that. Like, dang, I can't believe that I still haven't had my period yet. And then the next day it came on. But the next month, which was last month, April, I didn't have a period. And I'm celibate. So I've been celibate for 17 months. So I knew I wasn't pregnant because I'm celibate. That has never happened to me before, because with my first 2 pregnancies, I didn't breastfeed as long as I was this time. So my experience postpartum was completely different, okay? My first child, I only breastfed her for like 3 months. And my second child, I only breastfed him exclusively for 6 months. So I breastfed exclusively for a year. This experience postpartum is completely different than what I experienced in the past. So I started to do some research because I wanted to make sure that everything was okay, and I found out that it's completely normal to miss your period, okay? But before I get into that, I want to talk about the birth control part of not having a menstrual period when you are exclusively breastfeeding, okay? This is only for exclusive breastfeeding moms out there, okay? Exclusive breastfeeding reduces your fertility, but it is not a guarantee that you will not get pregnant. We have to remember that we must always remember that we ovulate before our period starts. So it is possible to get pregnant before you ever even have your period. Before your period returns, after you've had a baby, you can still get pregnant because we ovulate before our period comes on, and fertility is hard to track. Now, I'm not a fan of birth control. I've had an experience that was not very pleasant due to being on birth control, so I'm not going to be on birth control ever again. But if you are okay with birth control, by all means, get on some birth control. If you feel like there's a possibility, even if you are exclusively breastfeeding, that you can still get pregnant and you don't want to get pregnant right now, then get on birth control or practice abstinence like me. Or if that's not an option because you're in a healthy relationship, you know, then I recommend you get one of those apps, download it on your phone, and start tracking your ovulation, okay? Track your ovulation so you know when is a good time and when is not a good time. Lastly, I just want to give a little bit of FYI. Okay, so my first cycle, the symptoms were different than what I remembered them being, okay? I was cramping more than usual. I wasn't feeling good, like those type of symptoms, the cramping. I think I got a headache and I just wasn't feeling good. Those symptoms were more than usual, but the amount of bleeding that I did was very low, like extremely low, especially compared to periods that I've had in the past. So I just wanted to put it out there that that first period can be different or strange than what you're used to, or it could be the complete opposite of what I experienced. But that first period, your body is shedding blood and tissue that lined against the uterus while you were pregnant. So I had my first period, I skipped my second period, and we'll see if I have a third period this month. But I just wanted to put the information out there that is entirely normal to get your first period, skip a period, and then when the next period comes on, it could be earlier than the first one, okay? Your body is getting back adjusted to your pre-pregnancy state, so things are going to fluctuate. It's completely normal. And again, this message is for the women out there who are exclusively breastfeeding, or if you plan to exclusively breastfeed, then you know what to expect postpartum as far as your menstrual cycle goes, okay? Thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. I hope that this helps, and I hope that I have educated someone out there, you know what I'm saying? But like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll see you guys next time.